So in this class, I am going to discuss about user-defined functions. In previous class, I discussed about library functions or system predefined functions. Here, user-defined function. The functions can be defined by the user. The functions which are defined by the user, it is called user-defined functions. Okay, na? So we have discussed about library functions. So all they are predefined. So I have to use it only. Yes or not? But here I can define on its my own. The functions are called as a user-defined functions. Okay, na? So user-defined function consists of three elements: function declaration, function definition, and function call. Three parameters are there to define a user-defined function. Okay, na? So, function declaration, function definition, and function call. In function declaration means we have to inform to the compiler. So I am going to write a separate user defined function. Okay, I'll discuss here. Function declaration. Function declaration is also called as function prototype. It tells the compiler the name of the function, its return type, and the types of the parameter. What type of parameters you are using it. A function declaration does not contain the function body. I'll discuss. Okay, na? So declarations are usually placed in header files so that other files can call the function and the compiler can check those functions. All these things I'll discuss in detail. Okay, na? One by one. Any function declaration, mainly I'm talking about first function declaration, then function definition, then function call. Here I'm the first function declaration. I'm going to give clear information. There are function declaration mainly consists of four parts: data type, function name, parameters or arguments, terminating semicolon. Any function declaration terminated by the semicolon. Okay. First, syntax of function declaration. So return data type. So return data type, right? And function name. Sorry, underscore should be there. Function name. So data type and data type 2. For example, here I am writing int, right? Sum. Int is a return data type, sum is a function name. So I am writing here int a and int b. So integer nothing but return data type, function nothing but name of the function is sum. So I am going to add two numbers, and these are the parameters, right? These are the parameters or arguments. So data type is integer, variable is a, data type is integer, variable is b. Okay, na? Function declaration end with the semicolon. Data types, these data types specifies the type of value of the function which returns. So it returns the integer value because I am using int a b. For example, a equal to 10, b equal to 20. The addition of a plus b nothing but, if a and b are integers, addition of two integers you will get integer only. So that is the return data type is what? Integer. The return data type may be a integer value, character value, or float value, or any other type. So now one by one I'll discuss. First, return data type. Sir, not first is what? Return data type and function name and parameters, int variable and int a comma int b. The function declaration must be end by the semicolon. So I'm talking about return data type. After that, I'm going to talk about function name. After that, I'm going to talk about parameters in this slide one by one. Okay. First, I'm talking about return data type. If the function returns an integer value, the data type is integer. If the function returns a float value, the data type is a float. The function does not return any value, its data type is void. Okay. So that is about return type. Okay, na? So return type means what? The function has to return some value to the called function from where we are calling it. Okay, everything I'll explain in the program, you'll understand very clearly. Function name. So function name must follow the rules of identifiers. Just now I wrote the sum. Function name is sum. No, the sum names directly it should start with the character, or it should start with the underscore. Sorry, it start with the underscore. But the function name should not start with the number. The function name should not start with the special character. Okay, same how you are declaring the variables, rules and regulations for declaring the variables. So same rules are applicable for function name also. Parameters: data type 1, data type 2, so should specify number of arguments and order of arguments. Okay, now function prototype ends with a semicolon. So what does it mean? Means I'm talking about function name and parameters. Okay, now okay. So these are parameters means what? So here sum, right? Into sum, I'm writing here int a comma int b. So these two are called as the parameters. How many parameters are there here? Two parameters. That's why number of arguments, parameters or arguments both are same, right? Here how many parameters I am passing? Two. Hence the number of arguments are two here. And order of argument, so here first integer argument followed by the int b argument. Sometimes I may write like this: float sum, okay na, int a comma float b. I'll rewrite again: float sum of int a comma float b. Here so I'm adding one integer number and float number. So that's why when you're adding one integer number and float number, what is the result? 40.5. The result is float value. That's why I wrote here float. Return data type is what here? Float. Previously I wrote int a 10 and 20. 10 and if you're adding 10 and 20, the answer is 30. The result is integer, no? That's why previously I wrote int sum. But when I'm using, one is the integer argument, second one is the float argument, then the return data type is the float. We should write. Clear now? So what is the meaning of order of arguments? First I mentioned integer here, then I should give 10 only. I should not give 10.35 like that, because first integer argument, no, I need to pass the integer value only. After that float order, no, first integer followed by the float. Then I should give here 30.5 any floating point value here. So this is about order of arguments. Next, function prototype end with the semicolon, that we know already. Example of function declaration. Example of, so I'm explaining through an example here. So function to add two numbers, one is integer value, I'm taking one is a float value. So first data type is integer, second data type is float, and sum of integer int plus float, it will give us float as result. So that's why I'm declaring float here, and sum is a function name, float is a return data type, sum is a function name, and int a comma float b. These are the parameters or arguments. Okay, na? Function must be declared before function call. Okay, I'll discuss this. Now we are going to talk about function definition. So up to now I discussed about function declaration only. Next I am going to talk about function definition. In the function definition, after the function definition, we are going to analyze how you are going to call the function. A function definition C provides the actual body of the function. So what the purpose of this function, what it has to perform, what the program it has to be executed. That is the set of statements that are executed when the function is called. It tells what the function does, what is the purpose of function. Syntax of function definition. Function definition. So just return type already we know, function name already discussed, and parameter list. I may write int a comma int b like that. So here this open curly bracket to the close curly bracket, it is nothing but what? Function definition. Here I may write here int a equal to 10. Okay, now int b equal to 20. Any instruction I can write within open curly bracket as well as the close curly bracket. This is nothing but function definition. Here in this I may write a program. What is the purpose of this program? Why you are using this function? So this function is to perform addition, means I may write c equal to a plus b. If the function is for subtraction, I may write c equal to a minus b. Like that, in this I am going to write some instructions which are declared inside the function definition. Example of function definition. Look at here. Here float is a function return data type, sum is a function name, int a comma int b, these are the arguments or parameters. So here this is a function body. So the operation that it has to perform here, what is the operation it has to perform? Return a plus b. So the value of a plus b are going to add, the result is sent back to the return, means from where you are calling it, as it is going to return to the same function. Okay, now that I'll discuss in the program. So next I'm going to talk about function call in C. Okay, a function call in C, the statement used to invoke or execute a function that has been defined or declared earlier in the program. When function is called, the program transfers control, the program transfer control from calling function, and nothing but we are going to call these functions from the main program only. Okay, na? So to the called function means user defined function. So after the called function finishes, execution or control return back to the calling function. Okay, na? So this everything I am going to explain in this program. Okay, na? What is a function declaration, right? What is a function definition? Okay, na? What is a how you are going to call the function? Everything I'll explain through a program. See, this is a program I wrote. Okay, na? So first hash include stdio.h, because I am writing printf scanf functions that they are predefined in the hash include standard input output header file. Here this is a function declaration. This is what function declaration. So it is a function return data type. It is a function name, and these are the parameters or arguments of a function. I'm writing it into main, right? So this is a main function. So here to here it is a, sorry, right? So here to here it is a main function. Here it is a main function. So main function. So in main function, so because the C program is going to start with the main function only. Even you are writing n number of functions, user defined function, but our C program is start with the main function. Our program start from here into main. So int a and float b, I am declaring the values but not yet assigned, value not assigned. So I am taking from the user. Printf enter two numbers means user going to enter the value, then scanf percentage d, because one is the integer value and another one is the float value. That's why I declare in percentage d is used to read the integer, so for integer value. Okay, na, percentage for float value. So ampersand a and ampersand b. So printf sum equal to percentage f, and so sum a comma b. So sum a comma b nothing but what? It is a function call. What is it? It is a function declaration that must be end by the semicolon. Here we are calling the function sum of, what is this function sum, and this sum must be same, and this is also function definition. The name must be matched, then only execution will be going, otherwise error will give us. Now I am calling the user defined function sum. It is a calling the function, so we should call the function from the main program only. We should call the function from the main program only. Okay, na? And this function declaration should be done before the main function. Function declaration should be done before the main function, and this is a function definition. No, what it has to perform. This can be mentioned anywhere before the main function or after the main function, but this float function declaration must be mentioned before the main function, because so we are informed with the compiler. So I am going to use a user defined data type. User defined function is called sum. User defined function name is sum, which returns float value and which uses the parameter. One parameter is the integer value, which uses another parameter is what? Float value. So this information we need to give the compiler before executing the main program. That's why I wrote here before the main function. Clear, no? And so function must be called from the main function only. So when I'm calling the function, the transfer goes to the, from here to it comes here. After this it goes to here, float sum int a comma int float b. So after calling the function directly, the control transfers to the float sum int a comma float b. Okay, na? So here after that it comes into the function body. Is a function definition. It is what? It is a function definition where the logic has to be right, what action it has to perform, what is the task it has to perform. Okay, return a plus b. So a plus b return some value. So we are calling here, no, the function we are called from here. So return means it should go back to the same after this return. So it goes back to the same function again from where it was called. After this instruction, the transfer control goes back to the called program only. Here we, from here we call the some function, no, user defined function. It has to be go there. Okay, no, right. So here, so this is a function declaration we discussed, and into main. So here I'm entering the two values a and b. So let me execute and I'll give the answer. I'll show you the answer. So compile and run. Look at here. So it is asking user defined function. Enter the two numbers. I'm entering. One is a 10 value. Another one is what? 30.5. So what is the sum answer? Sum is 40.500. Okay. Now what happening here? So here I declare but not assigned. Here a value how much? 10. B value is 30.5. So here that 10 is passing to the, this a is passing to the int a, because 10 and a value 10 and b value how much? 30.5. So when you are calling this function, this 10, a value 10, b value 30.5 are transferring to the parameters. Here 10 is coming here and 30.5 is coming here. Because why I am writing float here? Because I am passing the float value. B value is what is the b value? Float. No, that's why I declare the float value. So 10, whatever the value of a is coming into these parameters to the user defined function, b value 30.5 is coming into the float 30.5. Okay, no? So these are the called as a actual parameters, and these are called as a formal parameters. Actual parameters means what? The function, it is a function call, no? The parameters which are mentioned in the calling function is called actual functions, actual parameters. The function which are going to the user defined function, no, they are called formal parameters. So this is a called function, no? You're calling a function from here, no? It is this function is being called, means this is a called function. So integer value 10, float value 30.5, it has to return the, so 10 plus 30.5 means what is the answer? 40.5. So 40.5 nothing but what? This is a float value, no, that can be written from here. Okay. So return means what? It has to go back to the function where it was called. And this is about functions. Any more doubts from here? Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.